such a perfect day. You just keep me hanging on. You just keep me hanging on.
Well, as requested and suggested by the fans, since I don't have the time for monthly pickup videos anymore, I do still want to keep going the collection video series. It's well received, and I've gotten a lot of suggestions over what series to do next, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out. So here's all the PS4 games from monthly pickups videos, plus some others, organized into the collection videos. I hope you enjoy and look forward to all the new modern games that I receive and get. Coming in at number 1 is Ratchet Clank on the PlayStation 4. It's developed by Insomniac, the people who brought you the previous Ratchet Clank titles, and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. All your favorite characters are back, Quark, Ratchet, and Clank included. Of course, why would it be otherwise? Now, the game is not a sequel, nor it is a reboot or a remake of the original game. It is a reimagining. So it's simply the same story, and it's the next Ratchet & Clank game. Remember, it hasn't been that long since A Crack in Time came out. So there's a lot of people saying nostalgia plays a big part in playing this game, and I can understand that if you're referring to only the first game, but not the series in itself. It came out in April of this year, and it's a platformer shooter. And platforming titles seem to be scarce among other systems other than Nintendo, which is a real shame, because once you get a game with a lot of charm, such as the Ratchet & Clank series, it really engrosses the player into the universe and really gets you to care about the characters. It's very important for a game's storyline. The game mechanics are very similar to what the games have been over the years, but the difference between this and the first game, and that's what really is going to engross the players, is the strafing elements, and the upgrade system has been refined, much like from the second game onward, so you didn't see that in the original title. What the original title did have is the fact that it played at 60 frames per second. In this one, it only plays around 30 frames per second, and luckily it's hardly noticed due to the developers using some type of heavy motion blur to affect the lack of smoothness in the gameplay. Now, about the story being the same, it's more or less the plot is similar. The game has changed so much, and so many things are different compared to the first one, it almost feels like a brand new game, and that's the point. The weapons and gameplay of the weapons are very similar and reminiscent of all previous titles, so you can take that however you want. In my case, I'm taking it as a positive, because that's why I play Ratchet & Clank. The quirkiness and the humor is all there, and even some Clank sections. Now, these sections have been criticized in the past, including myself, that they're boring and frustrating and probably shouldn't be there in the first place. However, from what I've played so far in this Ratchet & Clank, the Clank section's actually pretty fun, and it actually has a point to the story. Such as right here when we first see Clank, he's in a runaway scene with this giant robot, and the action gets pretty intense. You don't know what's happening, and if I was to compare this to the first game, nothing like this happened. And they even changed the fact when Ratchet and Clank first met, and actually they originally hated each other, so this is actually quite new. I'm looking forward to where this Ratchet and Clank is heading.
Up and down.
Next is a physical copy on the PS4 of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. This game is developed by Starbreeze Studios and published by 505 Games, basically a European indie company. Really small, and they developed a very peaceful, yet sad, third-person perspective game of two brothers trying to save their father from an illness. Instantly, the story starts off on a sad note when the younger brother relives the moment when his mother died in front of his eyes. The story elements and plot developments have a lot to do, at least in my perspective, of the old Brothers Grimm stories. But the gameplay element is where it gets a little interesting here. All the in-game dialogue is spoken through a fictional language that sounds to me a lot like a mixture between German and some type of Scandinavian language like Norwegian or Swedish. So the story is conveyed through the actions and gestures and expressions of the two brothers as they go through this journey to try and save their father. Basically, they have to travel a long way to get water from the Tree of Life to help him revive from his illness. Over the course of the story, the brothers must face trials that they have to overcome, and it's a sad story. I mean, I've played this multiple times, and this is the main reason why I had to get a physical copy. It actually hit me in more ways than one. But what's probably the most interesting part of the game, besides the spoken dialogue, is the fact that the whole game is essentially played with you controlling both brothers at once. The left analog stick moves one young brother, and the right analog stick moves the other, and the respective triggers also convey their actions. The game throws in some interesting puzzle elements, along with some platforming sections that keep the game fresh, other than just having you control the two brothers at once. The game is critically receptive, and standing in at a short, about 4 hours on average, it's immensely interactive and emotional. It's an emotional ride that I recommend to anybody. Please play this game. Now for the big dog. Dark Souls 3, developed by From Software, the people who brought you the Soul series, and many people don't know, they also brought you the Armored Core series. I was a big fan of the Armored Core series, but more importantly, Bandai Namco and From Software have hit this game out of the park. Personally, I've never been a fan of the Dark Souls games previously, but when they changed up the mechanics in Bloodborne and took that engine and element into Dark Souls 3, I was totally sold. The visuals and action of this game are outstanding. The difficulty is reminiscent of old Nintendo games where you're meant to die and learn from your mistakes. There are elements in which that are similar to Bloodborne, such as the dodge rolling. Bonfires serve as checkpoints as normal, and collecting souls to level up as you destroy characters or NPCs, and of course the boss battles make this game. Now, upon doing some research in the game, or at least I think this is accurate, the magic system returned from Demon Souls into this game known as focus points, so you can use two types of flax to either refill your health or the magic points. And that brings a little bit of a different gameplay element as opposed to the clunky nonsense that at least I found Dark Souls 1 and 2. Now back to why we play Dark Souls 3, besides the difficulty level. The amount of imagination it takes to create a game like this, I am still perplexed, intrigued. There's so many words to describe my awe about this game. I mean, let's just take a moment to look at the visuals. Whenever you look at a game like this, it's what people want today. They want this open world kind of environment. I mean, when you stand upon this cliff at the very beginning of the game, and you see the world that lies before you, you realize you can pretty much go to all these places. And that's remarkable compared to what we remember playing of in years past. Now for the important part, boss battles. What I don't like about Dark Souls is the cryptic clues that always involve these things. You never know really what you're supposed to do next, but that's what makes the community in this game so important. It brings somewhat of a different element to it of what we used to know games as, playing on the playground and trying to get those codes. Be prepared to die in this massively difficult game. Well, hey guys, it happened. I got a PS4, and I got the special edition Uncharted 4, and of course it came with Uncharted 4. And where do I even start with this game? Well, first of all, I've already beaten it at the time of making this video. I did not record this through my own. I used a fellow YouTuber's video, so his description will be in the link below. But anyways, if you want to play a game that's basically a movie, has some good shooting, and newly put stealth elements into it, I recommend Uncharted 4. It's probably the running for Game of the Year. Everyone's all up in arms about it, and there's good reason. The acting is fantastic, if you can even say that about the game, but that's kind of where it is now. Instantly, you're thrown into a situation on a boat, and people are shooting at you, and it is the game's version of a tutorial, and the game mechanics are relatively the same from all previous games in the franchise. The story's at its best, it's at its pinnacle. You will be engrossed. One thing that's reminiscent of Uncharted 2 is, I can honestly say, you can have the same experience watching someone play this game as you are playing this game. You get some backstory over Nathan Drake, although it kind of conflicts with a couple things that happened in Uncharted 3, but that's besides the point. Just kind of ignore it. There's new elements brought into the game, such as a grappling hook kind of thing, and that's really cool. The jumping mechanics and the climbing mechanics do get a little repetitive as you play the game, but don't let that deter you. The story is why you play this, and it's why you love Uncharted. There is a chapter there which the story just comes to a screeching halt, but I would say the game is well worth it. It's a must-play. If you have a PS4, go out and get this game now. It has to be in your library. Once you play those first few chapters and finally get to this intro screen, I seriously doubt you will be able to put the controller down until you get to the next cutscene, continue that story, and finally beat it for that extremely satisfying end. So here's another game that's getting a lot of hate, and it's Square Enix's title, Star Ocean: Integrity and Faithlessness. Now, I'm a big fan of the Star Ocean series, starting with the PlayStation Star Ocean: The Second Story, which I finally got a physical copy not more than a couple months ago, but I have played all of the Star Ocean games, and Star Ocean 2 and Star Ocean on the PS2 were good. I wasn't into the PS3 version, so I was really skeptical heading into the PS4, but I don't know, there was some, when I actually researched this game, and that's rare for me. But as soon as I popped it in and saw that cutscene, I was like, oh man, this is reminiscing of Star Ocean Second Story. You get these two options. You can either be on Earth difficulty or Galaxy difficulty. It's kind of cheesy if you ask me, but when I started playing this game, I was like, wow, this looks really good for an RPG on the PlayStation 4. I wasn't really into many RPGs on the PS3. I don't know, maybe it was just that generation. But games like this have resonated with me recently. And Square Enix is just knocking out of the park with me personally. I mean, Star Ocean, I've always been a fan of the Star Ocean series, and one thing weird about this game is you're always in control of your own camera. That took a lot for me to adjust to, especially during the battle system. But it was fun moving the camera around during these integrated dialogue story scenes. It still has the real-time battle system that Star Ocean did all the way back on the PlayStation, so it's not anything turn-based. So that's really cool. I'm liking the battle. I'm liking the battle system. I'm liking the skill upgrade system. It's more intricate than ever. Yeah, I can see it being an average RPG, as the reviews have been saying it is. But as for Star Ocean, yeah, the worlds are kind of empty, but I feel like it's supposed to be that way in Star Ocean. I don't know. It still doesn't live anywhere close to Second Story, but it is a decently good RPG with some new ideas, and it still holds up, in my view, by keeping so many old Star Ocean mechanics that you feel you're entranced in their world. I'm liking the game. I think you guys should give it a chance. Yep, so those were some PS4 games added to the collection, organized into a nice little format so everyone knows what games are in the possession of Moosen Spiel here and what we can play. And I hope you guys hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all your latest Moosen Spiel videos.